It's really strange, you know, when I look around the rugby universe as an England fan and see so many people saying so many nice things about England. It's been a long time since that was the case. I'm enjoying it, but it does feel strange. I will confess. That is the side that Steve Borthwick has picked to take on Argentina. I was going to wait for the Argentina team before I did a proper preview video, but then I suddenly realised, oh no, what am I waiting for? Argentina aren't going to release their team today. They're going to release it tomorrow because the game's on Sunday. So let's just have a chat about England because Steve Borthwick has once again named his side 4 days early, which I think does demonstrate the confidence that Steve Borthwick has in his role as head coach and in his squad. Although I also think part of the reason why he's named his squad early is quite simply because the journalists always get hold of the team and leak it before the official announcement. So at least this way he can manage it. So it might be that as well. But I do think this team, when you dig into it, demonstrates the confidence that Steve Borthwick has in his own role as England head coach, because he has made changes he didn't need to make that serve a longer term goal. And I'm really, really encouraged by that. I would love to know your thoughts. Give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, leave your thoughts in the chat. And yeah, Asher Opoku-Fajor, that guy photographed, he's the headline grabbing change because there was no injury involved to Joe Hayes. This is a tactical selection. And as I say, I think this is serving England's long-term goal. Asher Opoku-Fajor starts at tight head prop in a big test match. Biggest moment of his life this will be this weekend. He's played against Japan, started last November, but a start against a team as good as Argentina, and probably with Thomas Gajo coming back into the starting lineup for Los Pumas, that's big. That's really big. And to remove from the front line probably England's most improved player in the last year in Joe Hayes, a guy who's been part of an effort, along with England's scrum coach and the rest of the England pack, an effort to turn what was a weakness, an Achilles heel for England, into, I won't go so far as to say a strength yet, but they did win a scrum against the head against New Zealand. So maybe it's developing into a strength. Certainly it isn't a weakness in the way that it was. And hopefully that continues with Asher Opoku-Fajor in the tight head prop jersey. And yeah, I do think that change and the confidence to say, I'm going to proactively take Chandler Cunningham himself out and I'm going to put Charlie Ewels in because we need to test and develop the depth in certain key positions. I do think that speaks to a change in Steve Borthwick and maybe more confidence in his role as head coach. England have only lost one game in 2025. That was the first match in the Six Nations against Ireland away in Dublin. And since then, they have won 10 matches, going for an 11th straight win with a win against Argentina. And traditionally, over the couple of years Steve Borthwick has been in charge, he has kept things very, very similar game to game to game. Very few changes, except for matches like last November when England played Japan. And then he would rotate some players in. But it's bold to put Asher Opoku-Fajor in ahead of Joe Hayes. I really like it. Come World Cup time, it has been a weakness for England, but come World Cup time, England have got to be confident in 3 props on either side. And actually, Asher Opoku-Fajor could be the third prop on both sides of the scrum. He can play loose head and tight head, so he's a particularly important member of this squad. And like I say, after last year starting against Japan, he now gets to start against Argentina. This is big. And Charlie Ewels on the bench, he is a guy who's never really delivered on the potential and the form that he's shown at club level. He's been given another chance, a specialist second row. I wonder if that might mean... Well, it's just Alex Coles has had a really good November. Maro Itoje plays 80 minutes every game, except when he's on the bench. Maybe one of those guys will be relieved of some duty. But we do have George Martin and Ollie Chesham to come back. But when there's injuries to, in this case, 2 of those guys, suddenly we look thin on the ground. So having confidence in the next guy, the next cab off the rank, is really important. So let's see how that goes. The other changes are enforced by injury. I will just say, actually, on that whole selecting from a position of confidence, that is one of the things. When you look at the South Africans, when you look at Rassie Erasmus, having 2 Rugby World Cup winners' medals in your back pocket gives you the confidence, the swagger and the license, the freedom to basically do what you want. And so the boldness of South African selections comes from a place of strength. Also, an incredible squad depth. But then England have squad depth that they can flex, but haven't to the same degree. But having that confidence, we're back-to-back Rugby World Cup winners. We're the world number one team. And so we're gonna completely change our side, game to game to game. And that comes from a position of confidence in your own position, in the squad and all the rest of it. But it builds that depth and ability for the next World Cup. And I've said a number of times, it's the one thing I really admire about South Africa is they're willing to risk losing games in order to serve a greater purpose. And it feels like Steve Borthwick is doing that with some of his changes. The other changes, because the spine of the team is very much the same, the other changes are enforced by injury. Tom Roebuck is out, I think with a foot injury. Ollie Lawrence is out, I think hamstring. And, Jamie George is out as well. So it might be Jamie George with a hamstring. I can't remember. Anyway, they're all out. Those three are out. So in come two guys that have been around the block a bunch, been there and done it. Elliot Daly, 3-time British and Irish Lion, World Cup silver and bronze medalist. Henry Slade, the same, except for the British and Irish Lions part. And in comes Theo Dan. And that is another position where I welcome a different player getting some exposure at hooker, because England are really confident in Jamie George and Luke Cowan-Dickie, but who the third choice England hooker is a bit up for debate. Could it be Curtis Langdon when he's fit? Is it going to be Gabriel Ogre? Would it be Theo Dan or someone else? There's lots of options, but no one's really made that jersey their own. Other than that, it's pretty much as you are. I don't expect to see a huge change in the way England play. They're continuing with Curry, Pollock on the bench, Will Stewart as well. So 3 British and Irish Lion forwards to come off the bench. The 9s swap places. Ben Spencer getting some important game time. And again, England have been very reliant on Alex Mitchell, who's been playing really deep into games. And Ben Spencer getting some game time. If something were to happen to Alex Mitchell with an injury, then England would be up the creek a little bit. And so giving Ben Spencer game time is something that's really important. But again, I will say, if this game were happening last year, Steve Borthwick does not make that change from Mitchell to Spencer. And it's a change that I really like. The confidence. Freddie Stewart, he is fit to play. His HIA that he missed, that meant he missed the rest of the game last week, was he missed just the HIA. He failed the HIA on game day, but the ones that happen afterwards, and they have to have several. He went through the protocol, and the next HIA test that he took, it might have even been later on the match day, he passed, and he passed all the ones subsequently. So by the protocol, he is fit to play. So I'm expecting the aerial bombardment to continue. Argentina are actually all right at that. Isgro is pretty good in the air. Santi Carreras or Juan Cruz Malia, whoever plays, are pretty good there. And actually, Argentina, if they do manage to win some ball from the aerial bombardment, their transition counter-attack, there's very few teams that are better. So Argentina love to strike from the chaos of a box kick. However, England have got Argentina's number, generally, but even this year, with a developmental team that when you look back at that trip to Argentina, without whatever it was, 10, 12 British and Irish Lions, it really has developed the depth. It also allowed Lee Blackett, the attack coach, to bed in. And the noises that came out of that England camp about just how positive the environment was, how much everyone enjoyed it and the work that was done, it feels like that Argentina tour in the summer in a British and Irish Lions year was transformative. And it was effectively not quite a developmental England team, but not far from it either. So lots of good things going on. Lots of good things happening. But no mistake, make no mistake. Argentina present a very, very tough challenge that no one, least of all England, are taking for granted. They're going to have to be on their game to win, because Argentina are always motivated when they come up against England for a number of reasons, rugby and non-rugby, but it's going to be a proper occasion. And I can't wait to see that anthem at Twickenham. The amount of tears that will be in the eyes of the Argentinians, I think it will be more than at Scotland. I think they're going to be even more motivated. This will be the one that they were properly targeting to finish their year strongly. And they're a team that are much less hot and cold, inconsistent, as they have been in the past. I think we're going to see the best of Argentina, and I think they're going to take England close. But I do think England will have enough. I think they'll unleash the bench and they'll have the 80-minute performance in them to win. But it's going to be tough. Make no mistake. Just ask Scotland, 21-0 up. So yeah, I'm very happy at the minute. I feel also vindication for being, as I've mentioned, I was described in comments before, a Borthwick apologist for defending him a year ago when many other England fans were saying he should no longer be in post. Things are good at the minute, but you are only as good as your last game. So right now, England are a good team because they beat New Zealand. But that could all change this weekend, and it could leave a very different flavour to the end of the year and reflecting back on 2025. Or it could be a proper good year for England, who are looking up and turning Twickenham into a fortress again. But we will see. Thank you very much for your thoughts in the chat down below. I'll see you on the next video. There's going to be loads coming because we've got to soak up this international rugby while it's here.